Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. This is a review of my journey on Royal Caribbean's Wonder of the Seas. Just got off the ship yesterday, so wanted to go ahead and record this while it was still fresh in my mind. Just to give you context on where my perspective is coming from, I have logged 105 nights on Royal Caribbean ships, so my Crown and Anchor tier is currently Diamond. You have to have 80 nights on Royal Caribbean to reach the Diamond level. There are two levels above mine, Diamond Plus. You need 175 nights for Diamond Plus. And then Pinnacle, which requires 700 nights aboard Royal Caribbean ships. All right, so if you are pressed for time and just want a yay or a nay in terms of should you go aboard, my answer is yay, you absolutely should. So we had a great time. So if you get the opportunity to go on Royal Caribbean's Wonder of the Seas, absolutely take advantage of it. This was a 7-night sailing. We left from Port Canaveral. We had 4 different ports. We had Coco Cay, which is the private island of Royal Caribbean. They've pretty much turned it into a huge water park, but it does also have options for adult only. They have an adult only resort type beach, and then they also offer cabanas that you could rent while you're at Coco Cay. But we did not get off because we've experienced Coco Cay several times before, so we just enjoyed the quiet of the ship while most people were at port that day. The second port was Cozumel, Mexico. Again, we did not get off, been there many times. The third port was Roatán, Honduras. And we did get off in Roatán because neither of us had been there before, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, but bear with me. All right. We got off, we did an excursion, we did the tour of the island. So the island was 36 miles long. And so the van pretty much took us to different places around the island. Now, listen, if you decide to do that tour, it's going to take a humble mindset because it is a very impoverished island. Even when we went to their chocolate factory, they make their chocolate by hand. Like they pretty much have that device that's on the table that you churn the cocoa bean with. But the chocolate, y'all, was amazing. It does not taste like the confectionist sugary chocolate that we have here in the States. And I did support them. This is the box that they sell. You're able to put 5 chocolate bars in here, and they charge you $30 for this. So they have different types of chocolate that they offer, and it tastes pretty good. So I definitely recommend you supporting the locals. My mother and I neglected to take cash with us, but there are a lot of people that try to sell bracelets and other knickknacks because, again, the people, it's just a very humble island. So if you can support the people while you're there, please do so. Our fourth port was Costa Maya, Mexico. And again, we did not get off the island. We were pretty surprised. We docked at 7:30. Everyone had to be all aboard, and we were ready to roll out at 1:30. So you did not have much time on the island. I did look at an excursion, but I ended up not doing it. But if I had to pick one, it would have been the bike and kayak tour. I love cycling, and I was like, oh my goodness, I would do that. But it was so hot and we didn't have much time, so I just went ahead and skipped it and just chilled out. This was a very chill cruise for both me and my mother. So the embarkation process, which is the process that it takes for you to get on board the ship, it was very, very fast. We got to the port around 11 o'clock in the morning. From the time we left the lift to the time we got on the ship was less than 15 minutes. We presented our documents. We showed our set sail pass that is on the Royal Caribbean app to the people that were there for security purposes and literally got on the ship. Once we were on the ship, we weren't supposed to, but we went straight to our stateroom because we've cruised enough to know that the staterooms are typically ready around 10. They make an announcement that you can go to your stateroom around 11:30. But we went straight to the stateroom. We put our luggage down, and then we went up to the Windjammer Cafe. So the Windjammer is like a self-serving cafeteria. It's buffet style. I do not usually like Windjammers because they're usually crowded. It's hard to find a place to sit. But this particular one on Wonder of the Seas was very spacious. And my mother and I were both impressed by how easy it was to find a place to sit. And the food was pretty good. So that was a great experience. We did the dining room for breakfast. You got to get up very early to do the dining room for breakfast. And then we ate there for dinner 3 of the 7 nights. We had specialty restaurants as well. So that's why we didn't do the dining hall as much. But the staff in the dining hall, they were very sweet, very nice. Shout out to Marie and Diane. Those were our wait staff. And then Maria, which happens to be my daughter's name, was the head waiter. So that was a great experience. The specialty restaurants. My mother and I visited Chops, Giovanni's, and Hooked. So Chops is pretty much a steakhouse. Giovanni's is Italian, and Hooked is seafood. Both of us agreed that Chops was our favorite. So if you're only going to do one specialty restaurant, highly recommend Chops. I do not typically eat steak, so I'm not a steak eater, and that was the best steak I've ever had. So I highly recommend that. Hooked was good, and so was Giovanni's, but the atmosphere, along with the service and the food, Chops just won out. Okay, so that's gonna be number 1. I love sushi, and I would have tried the sushi restaurant aboard, but my mother doesn't eat sushi, so we didn't do that one. All right. As far as activities on Wonder of the Seas, they've got a lot of the typical stuff that you would see on any other Royal Caribbean cruise going on, especially on the Oasis class. So Oasis has ice skating, they have zip lining, there are escape rooms, there's an escape room. We've done that a few times. We did not do it on this journey. Then you have line dancing classes. You have stuff that you should absolutely not miss, like the Crazy Quest. If you've never been to the Crazy Quest on Royal Caribbean, you absolutely must. You must experience it. It is so wild. It is an 18 plus game, so leave the kids in the adventure club or with a babysitter when you go to that. Love and Marriage game show. They had the shush parties, Battle of the Sexes. So lots of activities. The only day that they did not have a lot of activities was the last day. Pretty much if you looked at the itinerary for that day, all day long it was ice skating, ice skating, ice skating. Of course, the pool deck is always open for people's enjoyment. But the last day was the only day that the calendar in terms of activities was very, very slow. Central Park. Let's talk about Central Park. So our stateroom was a balcony overlooking Central Park, and if you've never been on an Oasis class ship, I highly recommend it for, if nothing else, Central Park. Central Park is just fabulous. I don't know how to describe it. It's a park in the middle of the ship, and the atmosphere of Central Park is just so calming. It's serene. It's an amazing place to go for a date night. They have live music out there. There's a bar out there. There's several seating areas. It can be romantic. It can be casual. It can literally be whatever you want it to be because it's just that nice. of an atmosphere. I even saw kids throwing a ball, playing in Central Park. And there are plants everywhere. And I remember the first time I got on an Oasis class ship, and I said, are these plants real? Because they look that beautiful. But yes, there's a lot of greenery in Central Park, and it's all real. And you'll literally see birds or butterflies flying around. It's just fabulous. So definitely check that out. The staff aboard the Wonder of the Seas. So when you become a cruiser, when you've done more than 3 cruises, right, you tend to realize that every ship has a different climate and culture. A lot of Royal Caribbean ships tend to have the same activities, the same entertainment. So then it becomes a different experience because of the climate and the culture. How does it feel? How do the staff treat you? How do they interact with each other? How do they get things done? And this ship was very organized. The staff were very nice, not only to the cruisers, but to other staff members. I witnessed them speaking to different staff members constantly, people that were doing different jobs. I mean, it was just a very nice atmosphere, very welcoming, very calm. It was fabulous. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? I talked about the ports, the excursion. I think that just about sums it up for me. I do want to say that I constantly joked about the swimming pools on the Wonder of the Seas. So there are 4 different pools on the pool deck, and there's a lifeguard at every pool. But y'all, the pools were only 3.5 feet deep, and I told my mother, I used to lifeguard back in the day, but I told my mother, why do they need a lifeguard at a 3-foot pool? Like literally, if somebody's having an issue, all you got to do is tell them to stand up. And then, you know, they're carrying the red things, the buoy that you throw out to somebody and tell them to grab a hold of. I was like, why do they need that? Like literally, it's 3 feet. If you look up their reviews, that was the one thing that I saw people complaining about over and over were the pools, because they're not pools. You're literally just wading in water because, again, it's 3 feet. Like, what you need a lifeguard for? So that was the running joke of the ship. The prizes that they gave for trivia and for game shows, they were either cups or luggage tags. We won luggage tags for one of the trivias. Let's see, is there anything else that I'm a teacher, so I wanted to give you all an assignment. If you do go on the Wonder of the Seas, there are 2 astronauts. They have 2 astronaut statues on the Wonder of the Seas. One is very easy to find. The second one I didn't see until the 5th day. So I want you to pay attention to the ship, and I want you to look out for the 2 astronauts, and both of them are holding hearts. And so if you see the 2 astronauts with hearts, please comment below that you were able to find them. Again, we had a fabulous time aboard the Wonder of the Seas, and highly recommend that you check it out. The staff were fabulous. The ship is beautiful. It's very clean. Everything was easy to find. Everyone was very helpful if you needed help finding anything. And it was a great journey. So I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching, and be blessed.